my name is David Martinez. I am an outreach director at Educators for Excellence Boston. We are a teacher-led organization seeking to ensure that educators are leading conversations that impact their classroom and careers. Right now, the pressing issue in Boston and around the country is COVID-19 and the challenges it has brought to our nation. Today, we're going to be talking about the impact that it is having on educators and students in Boston, and discussing solutions for how we can reopen school in a way that restores our students' sense of safety and recover academic loss, especially for our most vulnerable learners. Today, I'm interviewing Brenda Marrero, who's an inclusion teacher and sub-separate, as well as a vocational teacher pushing into cosmetology at Madison Park Technical Vocational High School. I want to just thank you so much for your time and taking the time to chat with us on how you are supporting your students and families during this odd time of COVID, and how you're doing virtual learning and social distancing. So first off, I want to start with just having you walk us through sort of a typical day for you as a distance educator. What does your classroom look like now?
Oh my goodness. So as a typical educator now in these times, what my classroom looks like is that it's shared by multiple screens. I have students that are reporting to me either through an iPhone, an Android phone, a tablet, and also the Chromebook. Because as the Chromebooks were distributed, we also fell into like the immediate drastic quarantine. And many of the students were not able to get a Chromebook because our population of students, like at Madison, is like 70% bused in. So they live on the opposite ends of the city. So to come back and get a Chromebook, the feasibility has not been there.
Speaking of your students, how would you say your students are doing emotionally?
Okay, so you know, teaching is a kind of profession that it produces every profession. And how my students are doing right now, it's very difficult for them. It brings it to me in the forefront that we have kids that will not have the rites of passage of graduating with a graduation, seeing who is the valedictorian, wearing, you know, the sashes, seeing who had distinctions, academic distinctions in their classes, and feeling that accomplishment from their community. I myself am the second person in my family to go to college, and the first was my aunt.
Wow.
We are the only two that have ever gone to college in the family. So right now, it is a big loss for our students to not experience walking across the stage and getting that high school diploma, that validation in their hands. So right now, they can't get that. And because of that, now they're at a loss because they're gonna be competing with people in the job market that have lost their jobs. Right. So now employers are going to immediately reach out to families, to people that have lost their jobs, and really overlook our kids that come from a vocational school and already have a license or a certificate to work in the industry.
How else would you say sort of students are doing academically? And I know you spoke to a little bit,
so
but
academically,
how would you say this is impacting their learning? Yeah.
So, you know, we have students that their home situation, students that live in a shelter. We have students, you know, that they're homeless. And even if they're in a shelter, many times, you know, they're outside and the streets are their home. And they'll go to a public library to get some refuge. And now that the school that is a place for them to be in, you know, we've been setting up services with providers and school administrators to reach out to those populations because a lot of the fear was, well, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Because, you know, Madison Park High School really offers a lot of educational programming 6 days of the week. I mean, Madison Park is open 7 days out of the week. They even have church there on Sunday. I mean,
I didn't know that.
yeah. And they have Saturday school, and they have 2 sessions of what they call night school for our students on top of the voc and on top of the academics. So Madison High School is really the beating heart of Boston Public Schools.
Yeah. It really brings me into my next question, and something that has come up for a number of folks. And we're thinking about when school reopens. So we're hearing that student mental health and learning will need to be restored. What do you want decision makers to do in order to first get our students ready to learn psychologically and to ensure that learning loss is recovered?
The reality is that the Chromebooks were there for the day-to-day education, but not a part of their life after school. And then when COVID came, now when there's a lot of students don't have technology at all in the home. And many of them too, you know, Xfinity, they have closed accounts because of past due bills. So they don't have that. So they rely on the internet in our building. So now as we go back, we have to look at that these experiences are very real and what is somewhat of the work that we've done. And now we have to incorporate that in our schools now. Every child needs to have a Chromebook. Every child. Going back, now we need to look at that we need to get much more personal with our students and have these Chromebooks and pipe in our school into the Chromebook so that when the kids come into school and now they see us there, okay, we're really going into the content, but we're building the content within the Chromebook and the student. So that Chromebook becomes this virtual backpack. So this is what this is telling us. And it's telling me as a school teacher that I'm not going to be so concerned with, do you have a pencil? Do you have paper? Let's open up this Chromebook and let's get you started with your community of your necessities. It kind of goes to like the First Amendment, you know, the freedom of speech. And what I've seen is that this Chromebook allows them to speak and have a voice.
Definitely. Definitely. I thank you for sharing that. And it's a very concrete solution. I wanted to know one last thing. If you could sum it up, what is one source of joy or hope that you've experienced recently?
We're all in this together. We're all in this together. And what I have seen is that, you know, there has always been like, we've always had issues with race and we've always had issues with gender. And what this COVID has brought to us is that we're now working with equity. It has really brought out that people need to be treated like citizens and people need to be given everything that they need. And that this is a disease that has no color. And where the things that challenge this country about color and race that were so visible and created walls and barriers where people couldn't work together and get the things that they needed. Now, guess what? There's no color to COVID. It affects everybody. So now it's making elected officials and people that are supposed to represent us and be advocates for our community to really do what they have to do. So I share in the joy that this is going to, because it's affecting privileged people. Privileged people are dying. And, you know, and I have been quarantined in the sense that I'm poor, so I can't get out to a lot of places. But people that are privileged and got a lot of money, they're the ones that are, you know, they're the ones that are catching the COVID in these gated communities where it's all gated and they got money and all that. So now it's like, oh, okay, they got to slow down to where I'm at and see, oh, wow, I don't have XYZ. So in order for them to get XYZ, I have to have it too.
Yep.
You know, and so far, my greatest joy is that I did not lose a student yet because of COVID from Boston Public Schools or Madison. I mean, that's my daily prayer every day.
I hear you, and I really appreciate that. And I want to just thank you tremendously for your time. I appreciate getting to hear from you and learn from your experience about what you've seen, so we can do our best to make the best policy decisions for schools, for sure.
I thank you so much, because like I say, what I love about Educators for Excellence is that, you know, if I'm teaching with the students, I can advocate for them, but you guys are like the wind beneath our wings, because you elevate our needs. You really, really, really do. You really, really do. Because, you know, being a teacher is beyond your school hours. And what I like is that you guys go in there and you legislate and you do things for us, and you bring our voices to the forefront. And I really thank you. And especially by people that look like us, people from the community. I mean,
That's so real.
it's just,
so real.
that is what's amazing to me.